Who's at your home right now? Your mother? Father? Wife? Children? Close your eyes for a moment and imagine. Tonight you go to sleep. In the morning, you wake up to find your house completely empty. But there's hot tea on the table, the TV is still running, wet towels are hanging in the bathroom. It feels like everyone was just here moments ago, but now, nobody. You didn't hear any screams, no sounds at all. Just an eerie silence. The police arrive, investigate, and find nothing. No bodies, no blood, no signs of struggle. It's as if they've been erased from existence. This exact scenario happened in 1872, in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean, on a ship called the Mary Celeste. 10 people vanished together. 152 years later, this mystery still has no answer. In today's video, I'm taking you inside this terrifying true story. Before we dive into the mystery, let me tell you about the ship and the people on board. The Mary Celeste was a merchant brigantine, a two-masted sailing ship. In November 1872, it left New York City headed for Genoa, Italy, carrying 1,701 barrels of industrial alcohol. On board were 10 people. Captain Benjamin Briggs, an experienced sailor, deeply religious and a family man. His wife, Sarah Briggs, their 2-year-old daughter, Sophia Matilda, and 7 crew members, all experienced sailors. Captain Briggs was known as an honest, capable man. He had made this journey many times before. Everything seemed routine. The ship was in excellent condition, fully stocked with food and water for 6 months. On November 7, 1872, the Mary Celeste set sail. Everything was normal. The weather was good. The crew was experienced. But what happened next would become one of history's greatest unsolved mysteries. Fast forward to December 4, 1872. Another ship, the Dei Grazia, was sailing about 400 miles east of the Azores Islands in the Atlantic Ocean. Captain David Morehouse spotted a ship in the distance. It was moving erratically, zigzagging through the water with its sails partially set. Morehouse recognized the ship immediately. It was the Mary Celeste. He knew Captain Briggs personally. They had dinner together just before both ships left New York. Morehouse tried calling out to the ship. No response. He fired a signal. Still nothing. Something was very, very wrong. He sent a boarding party to investigate. What they found chilled them to the bone. The ship was completely deserted. But here's where it gets truly bizarre. Let me describe what they found. Inside the ship, the cargo, all 1,701 barrels of alcohol, completely intact. 6 months' worth of food and fresh water, untouched. Captain Briggs' cabin, his bed neatly made. The captain's pipe still on the table. A bottle of medicine and a thimble on a sewing machine. The ship's harmonium, a small piano, in perfect condition. Child's toys scattered in the cabin. The galley had pots and pans with food still in them. Navigation equipment in good condition. Everything suggested that people had been there just moments ago. What was missing? All 10 people completely vanished. The ship's lifeboat gone. The ship's navigation instruments, chronometer and sextant missing. The ship's papers and captain's logbook missing. Only the daily log remained. But here's the most chilling part. There was no sign of struggle, no blood, no damage, nothing to suggest violence or panic. The last entry in the ship's log was dated November 25th, 9 days before the discovery. The coordinates showed they were near the Azores Islands. The entry was routine, mentioning they had sighted land. So what happened in those 9 days? Where did everyone go? The Dei Grazia crew sailed the Mary Celeste to Gibraltar, where a salvage court investigation began. This is where things got complicated. Some people suspected Captain Morehouse and his crew of foul play. After all, they would receive a substantial salvage reward for bringing in an abandoned ship. But this theory didn't make sense. Morehouse and Briggs were friends. Why would Morehouse kill his friend and 9 others for money he was already wealthy enough not to need? The investigation found no signs of violence on the ship. No signs of piracy. All valuable cargo was intact. The ship was seaworthy. It could have sailed for months. No signs of explosion or fire. One investigator claimed he found traces of blood on the deck and sword marks. But later analysis proved these were just rust stains and normal wear and tear. The court eventually ruled there was no evidence of wrongdoing and awarded the Dei Grazia crew a salvage payment, though much less than expected, showing the court's suspicion. But the big question remained: what happened to the 10 people? For 152 years, investigators, historians, and mystery enthusiasts have proposed countless theories. Let me walk you through the most plausible ones. Theory 1. Alcohol vapor explosion. This is considered the most scientific explanation. The Mary Celeste was carrying 1,701 barrels of industrial alcohol. 9 of these barrels were found empty or leaking. Alcohol vapor is highly flammable. Experts believe vapor may have escaped from the leaking barrels. In the confined cargo hold, this created an explosive atmosphere. A small spark or heat could have caused a minor explosion or whoosh of flames. Captain Briggs, fearing a massive explosion, ordered everyone into the lifeboat. They may have intended to wait at a safe distance and return to the ship. But the lifeboat's rope broke, or they couldn't row back against the current. They drifted away and were lost at sea. This explains why the lifeboat and navigation tools were missing. They were trying to survive. It also explains the lack of damage. There was no actual explosion, just fear of one. Theory 2. Waterspout or Seaquake. A waterspout is like a tornado over water. Some researchers believe a waterspout or underwater earthquake could have caused the ship to lurch violently. Water might have temporarily flooded parts of the ship. Fearing the ship was sinking, everyone abandoned ship in panic. But the ship actually stabilized and continued floating. Meanwhile, the lifeboat with all 10 people sank or drifted away. Theory 3. Piracy or mutiny. Early investigators considered this, but it doesn't hold up because nothing valuable was stolen. 1,701 barrels of alcohol, worth a fortune, remained. Captain Briggs was known as a fair, kind captain, unlikely to face mutiny. No signs of violence anywhere on the ship. Why would pirates leave such valuable cargo? This theory is largely dismissed. Theory 4. Insurance fraud. Some suspected Captain Morehouse and Captain Briggs conspired to stage an abandonment and split the salvage money. But the salvage payment was relatively small. Both men were already successful and wealthy. Briggs would never abandon his wife and child. No evidence of communication between the ships. This theory is also dismissed. Theory 5. Ergot poisoning. Ergot is a fungus that can contaminate grain. It causes hallucinations, paranoia, and irrational behavior. Some theorize the crew ate contaminated bread. They began hallucinating. In their paranoid state, they abandoned ship believing it was cursed or on fire. But this is unlikely because hallucinations wouldn't affect all 10 people identically at the same time. Theory 6. Supernatural. Let me be clear. I don't believe in paranormal explanations. But for completeness, some claim the ship was cursed. Others suggested alien abduction or time portal. Sea monster attacks were also mentioned. These have zero scientific evidence and are more Hollywood than history. The most likely explanation. Modern maritime experts and historians largely agree on the alcohol vapor explosion theory. Here's why it makes the most sense. 9 barrels were found empty or damaged. Alcohol vapor is odorless but highly flammable. A small whoosh of flame wouldn't damage the ship but would terrify the captain. Abandoning ship temporarily is a rational decision if you fear imminent explosion. Once in the lifeboat, a broken rope or strong current could separate them permanently. The Atlantic Ocean in November is deadly. They likely didn't survive long in a small lifeboat. This theory explains everything. The missing lifeboat, the intact cargo, the lack of damage, the missing navigation tools, and why rational, experienced sailors would abandon a perfectly good ship. So what happened to the Mary Celeste after it was found? The ship continued sailing under different owners for 12 more years. But it carried the stigma of being cursed. Sailors called it a ghost ship and were reluctant to work on it. In 1885, the Mary Celeste was deliberately run aground in Haiti as part of an insurance fraud scheme by its final owner. The ship was destroyed, ending its mysterious journey. But the mystery of what happened to the 10 people lives on. Captain Benjamin Briggs, his wife Sarah, their 2-year-old daughter Sophia, and the 7 crew members were never found. No bodies ever washed ashore. No wreckage of the lifeboat was ever discovered. They simply vanished into the Atlantic Ocean, leaving behind one of history's most enduring mysteries. So what do you think happened? Do you believe the alcohol vapor theory? Or do you think something else caused 10 experienced sailors to abandon a perfectly good ship? Here's my take. I believe they feared an explosion that never came. In that moment of panic, they made a decision to temporarily abandon ship. But the ocean is unforgiving. The rope broke or the current pulled them away, and they couldn't get back. The Atlantic Ocean in November would have killed them within hours. The Mary Celeste mystery reminds us that sometimes the most terrifying things in life aren't supernatural. They're the cruel coincidences of nature and bad luck. If you enjoyed this deep dive into one of history's greatest mysteries, please hit that like button. It really helps the channel grow. Subscribe if you want more mysterious true stories like this. Drop a comment below telling me what theory you believe, or suggest another historical mystery you'd like me to cover. And share this video with someone who loves unsolved mysteries. Until next time, stay curious, stay skeptical,